The Stannered Agreement was an agreement between the British and Irish governments and Northern Ireland's political parties in relation to the devolution of power in the region. The agreement resulted from multi-party talks held in Stannered in Fife, Scotland, from 11 to 13 October 2006, between the two governments and all the major parties in Northern Ireland, including the two largest, the Democratic Unionist Party and Sinn Féin. It resulted in the restoration of the Northern Ireland Assembly, the formation of a new Northern Ireland executive, and a decision by Sinn Féin to support the police service of Northern Ireland, courts and rule of law. The agreement. Key elements of the agreement included the full acceptance of the police service of Northern Ireland by Sinn Féin, restoration of the Northern Ireland Assembly, and a commitment by the Democratic Unionist Party to power sharing with Irish Republicans in the Northern Ireland Executive. The government's plan envisaged the devolution of policing and justice powers within 2 years from the restoration of the Northern Ireland Executive. The parties were given until the 10th of November 2006 to respond to the draft agreement. The First and Deputy First Minister would be appointed on the 24th of November 2006. There was a target date of the 26th of March 2007 for a new executive to be up and running. After a general election on the 7th of March 2007, the Northern Ireland Act 2006, which implemented the agreement, received royal assent on the 22nd of November 2006. Reaction. Northern Ireland Secretary Peter Hain called the agreement an astonishing breakthrough on BBC Radio 5 Live. Taoiseach Bertie Ahern said that if the deadlines set by the two governments were not met, the plan falters and there will be a move to Plan B with no more discussions. Democratic Unionist Party leader Ian Paisley said, "Unionists can have confidence that its interests are being advanced and democracy is finally winning the day." He also said, delivering on the pivotal issue of policing and the rule of law starts now. Sinn Féin leader Gerry Adams said that the plans needed to be consulted on, but restoring the political institutions was an enormous prize. Ulster Unionist Party leader Reg MP described the agreement as the Belfast Agreement for slow learners. Social Democratic and Labour Party leader Mark Durkan said welcome progress had been made towards restoring the power-sharing institutions. Alliance Party leader David Ford said the outcome was a mix of challenges and opportunities. The 10th of November deadline. The joint statement of the 13th of October stated that the governments had asked parties, having consulted the members, to confirm their acceptance by the 10th of November. A Sinn Féin statement said that on the 6th of November, the Sinn Féin Ardsham mandated the party leadership to follow the course set out at Stannered, and to continue with the ongoing negotiations to resolve the outstanding issues, and that they firmly believed that all of the outstanding difficulties can be resolved. The DUP statement said that, as Sinn Féin is not yet ready to take the decisive step forward on policing, the DUP will not be required to commit to any aspect of power sharing in advance of such certainty. Although neither statement constituted acceptance of the agreement, both governments maintained that there was sufficient endorsement from all parties to continue to the process. The 24th of November deadline. The joint statement stated that the Assembly will meet to nominate the First and Deputy First Minister on the 24th of November. In the days preceding the Assembly meeting, the two governments said that it would be sufficient for the parties to indicate who the nominations for First and Deputy First Minister would be. When the Assembly met on the 24th of November, Ian Paisley said that circumstances have not been reached that there can be a nomination or a designation this day, adding that, if and when commitments are delivered, the DUP would enter government. Gerry Adams nominated Martin McGuinness for the post of Deputy First Minister. Following the unexpected adjournment of the Assembly, the proceedings were disrupted by the Loyalist paramilitary Michael Stone, when he entered the building armed with a gun, a knife and homemade explosives. Stone was wrestled to the ground on entry and disarmed by security staff. The devices were defused and the building was evacuated. Paisley, in a statement, said, "Everyone already knows that in those circumstances after they are delivered I would accept the First Minister's nomination." Both governments maintained that this was sufficient indication for the process to continue. The 26th of March deadline. The Northern Ireland Act 2006 stated that following an election to the Assembly on the 7th of March 2007, ministerial offices to be held by Northern Ireland ministers would be filled under the DONT system on the 26th of March 2007. If the ministerial offices could not be filled on that date, the Act required the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland to make an order dissolving the Assembly, and the St Andrews Agreement would fall. On the 28th of January 2007, a special Sinn Féin Ard approved a motion calling for devolution of policing and justice to the Assembly, support for the police services, and Gardas Iocana and the PSNI criminal justice system, the appointment of party representatives to the Policing Board and District Policing Partnership Boards, Sinn Féin ministers taking the ministerial pledge of office, and actively encouraging everyone in the community to cooperate fully with the police services in tackling crime. At the same time, it mandated the Ard Chumhail to implement the motion only when the power-sharing institutions are established and when the Ard Chumhail is satisfied that the policing and justice powers will be transferred, or if this does not happen within the St Andrews time frame, only when acceptable new partnership arrangements to implement the Good Friday Agreement are in place. The DUP gave a cautious welcome to the move, but without making any overt commitment on the devolution of policing and justice by May 2008. On the 30th of January, the Prime Minister and the Taoiseach confirmed that Assembly elections would go ahead as planned on the 7th of March. In the Assembly elections, the DUP and Sinn Féin both gained seats, thus consolidating the position as the two largest parties in the Assembly. Peter Hain signed the order to restore the institutions on the 25th of March, warning that if the parties failed to reach agreement by midnight the following day, the Assembly would be closed down. Members of the DUP and Sinn Féin, led by Ian Paisley and Gerry Adams, met face-to-face for the first time on the 26th of March, and agreed to form an executive on the 8th of May, with the DUP giving a firm commitment to enter government with Sinn Féin on the date. The agreement was welcomed by Tony Blair and Bertie Ahern. On the 27th of March, emergency legislation was introduced into the British Parliament to facilitate the 6-week delay. The Northern Ireland Bill was passed without a vote in both the Commons and the Lords and received royal assent as the Northern Ireland Act 2007. The same evening, the final stage. In the weeks following the agreement between Paisley and Adams, the four parties, the DUP, Sinn Féin, the UUP and the SDLP, indicated their choice of ministries in the executive and nominated members to fill them. The Assembly met on the 8th of May 2007 and elected Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness as First Minister and Deputy First Minister. It also ratified the 10 ministers as nominated by the parties. On the 12th of May, the Sinn Féin Archomhail agreed to take up 3 places on the policing board, and nominated 3 MLAs to take them. On the 8th of December 2007, while visiting President Bush in the White House with the Northern Ireland First Minister Ian Paisley, Martin McGuinness, the Deputy First Minister, said to the press, "Up until the 26th of March this year, Ian Paisley and I never had a conversation about anything, not even about the weather, and now we have worked very closely together over the last 7 months and there's been no angry words between us. This shows we are set for a new course."